think we're on.
Great.
I'd like to have the link, so everybody might be joining us right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good to go. Okay. Hello guys. So this is episode number 8 of the Firework show. This is the show that's going to bring to you different people who have built their own businesses around their passion and purpose, and they're going to share with you how their journey was, what they did, what happened with them, and how important it is to understand that we all have different backgrounds, different stuff going on in life. But in the end, it seems like there are specific people, certain people in the world that can make it happen. So I'm gonna, as once again, I'm bringing someone that has done it and is doing it on a daily basis, basically every day. So this is Farrah Furtado. She's half Portuguese, half Canadian. Am I right?
My parents are Portuguese, so I am Portuguese Canadian. I was born in Canada.
All right. So I'm gonna let you give yourself a moment for you to actually tell everyone what is it that you do. What is it? How is your life today? So people can really understand who are they talking to.
First of all, thank you for having me on your show. I'm really excited to be here. This is a topic that I feel really passionate about. So thanks very much for giving me this opportunity.
My pleasure.
I'm a writer. I'm also a filmmaker, and I am a yoga teacher. I teach meditation and breath, breathing techniques, breath work, very powerful breathing techniques to stoke the fire within you, to just basically feel happy to be alive. Techniques that I share people on our retreats. We're about to start a retreat in 7 days, actually, in Portugal. And I don't know, I guess I would describe myself as a freedom lover, and I love expressing myself through art. So the creative expression is very important to me, and also being self-sustainable. So being able to share my passion and share my hobbies with the world, no matter where I am, whether that's in India, where I do retreats, or Bali, or Taiwan, or Portugal. I'm just really, really grateful that I'm able to share these wonderful things that I learned in India with other people. Very, very powerful techniques that I've learned, and I'm really happy to share them with other people.
I'm gonna be like, I always have my notebook, so I'm gonna be taking a lot of notes because I wanna know more about that. Like, I think the first time I heard about it, it was, I don't know, I think it's the priming exercise Tony Robbins has on YouTube, something like
I know
that.
What you're talking. I think I know.
Yeah. So, but if we wanted to simplify, and I usually make this question, like, if you had a 5-year-old kid, I used to be this kid. If you had a 5-year-old kid come to you and say, "Hey Farrah, who are you?" Now, how would you answer that?
I am a curious soul that loves exploring, I guess. That's who I am.
Awesome.
I want to push. I want to knock on the door. I want to push down walls that people or society puts up for us and see what's on the other side. That's how I would describe myself.
That's great. I mean, it can be so simple and so human the way we can explain who we are, right? If we think about a 5-year-old kid, like, there's no judgment, he just wants to see you and all of that. So can you share a bit more about, like, what's your background? What kind of family, what did you had to go through in your childhood? Like, what happened over there?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Not very many people ask me about this because they're so kind of focused on, the tangible projects that I do.
Uh-huh.
So I, came from a very poor part of the world, in San Miguel, the Azores, in the 1970s. It was not a good place to be in. So my parents immigrated to one of the most expensive countries in the world, and so my parents had to work a lot. My father was a stonemason, construction worker. He had his own business in stonemasonry, and my mother was a chambermaid at a hotel for over 40 years. So I too, through the conditioning around me, was a very hard worker. I still am a very hard worker, but I'm not working for, material things or money. I'm now dedicating my time towards projects that fuel my heart and help people and inspire others and share creatively. So anyway, I moved to Toronto, to go to university and stuff, but I had a lot of boundaries. I was always late with my rent. I was very naive 18-year-old, moved to the Big Apple of Canada to try to make a name for myself. I had this thing where I wanted to be a famous psychologist. That was my dream.
Hmm.
And and a famous author and all these things. And what I found in Toronto was that um, I was not ready. I was depending on food banks for my food. I was unemployment insurance. I know poverty probably more than my parents even experienced raising three kids in Canada. And from that, somehow I always trusted myself and I always trusted my heart. And my hobbies of yoga and meditation, self development, self improvement, reading people such as Tony Robbins, just, really fueled my self belief that anything is possible. And to this day, I know that anything is possible. I'm working on my dreams every day, and I'm just very, very grateful for where I am today. And I will always be grateful because I always remember where I came from, and I always remember how hard I had to work to get to the place that I am today.
So, what was the biggest turning point you had to go, or you had in your life that really changed like the way you were, your perspective about life, or something that was going on?
Thank you. That's a really great question. What is the one thing that really changed me?
Yeah,
You're saying?
like I had that thought going in the city hall, right? That really, it happened. I had a different turning points also, but usually something happens, like it's like the journey of the hero's journey, right? So
Yeah.
we have these superpowers, all our gifts and everything, but there's a sequence or a specific event that unlocks the journey itself. It's like something that happens that makes us say, okay, now I cannot ignore this anymore, right?
Yeah, there's so many. There's really so many that I've discovered, especially in the last 2 years, that have completely changed my outlook and changed the the effect. And I think for me, it was how to better manifest my dreams into reality so that I can see them rather than just always thinking about them in my mind. So I feel
Yeah.
like I got better at, in the movie or the book, The Secret, they talk about feeling, going deep into your body and feeling the emotions of what you would feel like if your dream happened.
Yeah.
And I feel that that has really changed my life, especially recently. That I really go deep into imagining what my life would look like, or what I would feel, the emotions that I would experience if my wildest dreams came true. Such as, I'll give you a great example. I don't mean to brag or anything, but this is here. It says, TIFF, and I went to the festival, the Independent Film Festival in Toronto, and they asked to screen my movie there, and it won Best Canadian Documentary for my movie At the Gamma.
Take that.
I've imagined holding something like this and seeing my movie on the screen, being in the audience, and I can't even tell you how many, probably thousands of times, not thousands, I'd say hundreds of times, hundreds of times, where I just felt what it would be like to get up in the theater and accept my award for best film. And I feel like that is the thing that really kind of awakened me, I guess. I got really good at manifesting.
So you obviously had a big passion for writing, right? And
Yes.
you still have it.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
what else did you back then? Was it only writing, or along the way you discovered new things that you actually really like to do?
Yeah. Well, I think it was always creating. When I was a little girl, I kind of rounded up, the family, the cousins, the sisters at my grandmother's house, um, and just, made these Christmas cards, colored them, and created these Christmas cards. And I kind of encouraged the group. I was the oldest in the group, and we're gonna go knocking door to door, and we're gonna sell these Christmas cards. And I've also done that with things like painted rocks, painted them, colored them when I was 5 years old, and just had a little stand in front of my mom's house, my dad's house, and sold these pet rocks. Yeah, there's this little stories like that. I loved the idea of creating something from scratch and then somehow, you know, taking care of yourself through your artwork, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So how did you transition from, your passions, stuff that you like to do, or a combination of things? What did you do to go from that would come and have moments in your life into creating a business and actually starting to serve other people with that?
Mm-hmm. I feel like I've always served people ever since I was younger as well. As I told you, my background is in psychology, and you know things like volunteering in my school to help out with this or that, or visiting seniors homes to play cards with them and stuff like that. That part of service has always been in my life and instilled in me in a very young age. um, it and then later on, when I became a teacher for kids in Taiwan, that was my stable job. I worked 40 hours a week. I was teaching English in a private school in Taiwan. Great money. Um, but there was something there. I wanted to do something on my own. I wanted to create retreats, yoga retreats, and write more, publish more books. So I went to my boss, and it was very scary. I said that I only want to work for 10 hours a week for the school, um, essentially because I want to devote my time to my passions, my projects, and I want to get my business started or a little more serious. Because I started the business of the yoga retreats in 2014, but I was also still an English teacher. So I would have to ask for time off from my normal job so I could go on my retreats and host my yoga retreats in India, for example. That's where I started. Well, I started in Taiwan, and then I my first abroad retreat was in Mysore, India.
So you developed those yoga retreats, and did you have a moment where you thought about like, what is my purpose with all this?
Mm. Wow, Renato, you're asking such great questions.
I mean, yeah. Sorry about that.
No, that's wonderful. It really helps to reflect on these things. I think, you know, um, people in general, they live such busy lifestyles, and it's important to reflect on these deep questions. Um, oh man, I would just make sure that I would still make an impact on the world. If I didn't have yoga retreats, I think I would just dedicate myself towards filmmaking and inspiring people through film and
Yeah.
sharing the mindfulness practices and the breathwork practices through film. Yeah, that's what I would do.
That's
And
actually go on.
oh, it's just it's always about making a difference. It's always about how can I inspire people to feel good? Like there's so many like terrible, terrible things that are going on in the world. Just turn
Yeah.
on, CNN, and I'm just sick of it. I just want to create a positive impact on the world, and I want to share my light with everyone. And I want to show people that there is a way to be happy every single day. And for me, and as yourself, Renato, you shared to me that you can change the world if you are stoking that fire inside of you, whether that's through hobbies and then you make it into a self-sustaining career,
Yeah.
or your talent, your gifts. What are your superpowers? And spend the time to cultivate those things. So, to impart excellence essentially. And when you do that, the money comes after.
You know, the
Yeah.
I was thinking now that there's usually in every any industry, any business we can think of, there's usually a specific set of things that people like kind of as if they were myths, but they're not. So things that people usually think they're true, but in fact, in reality, when they come to work with you, you show them along
Mm,
the way that, and they start to realize like how distant they were from the truth, right?
absolutely.
Are there,
Yeah.
what's the probably the most common thing people believe it's something inside, like when they go to your yoga retreats? What do they believe that after being there with you help them realize?
I think it's they are already perfect as they are right now. You don't need, 5 university degrees. You don't need 20 years of experience doing something before you actually do your dream. You can start your dream right now. You're perfect. You're whole. You are complete. You have every single thing in your body that you need to embark on following your heart and your passions and cultivating your gifts and your talents each day. All of us are born with talent and gifts and blessings. And as far as I'm concerned, if you are not cultivating those things every day, um, there's going to be consequences to pay, karma, um, you know. And I think um, I get really upset when I hear people say things like, "Oh, I'm not good enough," or "I'll never be able to do that." But I don't have this or I don't have that. I'm not ready, and I just wish I could just share the knowledge with everybody that they are ready. They just have to find their own unique way of beginning their path with their unique, authentic heart essence, who they are. They are ready to begin the path of their dreams this second. They don't have to wait 10 years for it.
So those are the people that kind of annoy you, right? When they act like that, because usually, no. Recently, I had a guest that was Israel Duran, and he actually shared a couple of things with me, and one of them was the people that annoy you the most are the ones you're called to serve. And I was
Oh yeah.
like, in my mind, I was like, what the fuck?
That's, oh yeah.
That's so true. That's so
It
true.
is so true. I agree 100%. And one day I will get it. But you're right. When you come face to face with that person that annoys you, it's like the Buddhist monks, they talk about, softening the heart. See if you can bring out some compassion
Yeah.
and listen rather than react or judge.
Yo, I have a question about that. Do you believe that everyone responds to the same kind of energy? Or do you believe that some people rather they rather go from a soft path, like a smooth talk, uh, calm kind of energy, and or do you believe there's a duality where some people work better with the yang kind of thing, and some other people work better with the yin kind of energy? Or do you think
Mm.
they all work the same? They all respond to the same stimulation?
Well, I come from the background that is cultivating a balance of the yin and the yang. So, you know, these like feminine aspects of being human are in all of us, and the masculine aspects of being human are in us. For example, the feminine quality has to do with reflection, intuition, creativeness, uh, birthing of of something, and the masculine has to do with the action or the physical, um, um, the powerful or the rational part of our brains. Like those are just little examples. Just
Yeah.
I don't want to get tied into the labels of what feminine is and what masculine is, but just know that we do have feminine and masculine um, energies within us, and it is important to balance those two qualities within our bodies through the mind, through our physical being, and through our spiritual being. So having a relationship, a balanced, healthy relationship with all three aspects of ourselves. And yes, if somebody is conditioned to be more of a yang, masculine kind of energy, um, yeah, they'll get used to kind of operating in those terms. Whereas somebody that's more softer and more conditioned to express and the yin part of ourselves, then yeah, they will be attracted to that. But for me, I know that if I'm too much like one way or the other way, then
Yeah.
things can happen. Like my mind isn't, um, balanced, or maybe I'll even get sick. Maybe I'll catch a cold or something like that. So
So
yeah, I am very in tune with the masculine and the feminine quality within my own body.
so when does the world get to see your most yang side?
Hmm. Oh wow. um, I would say that running a company is quite challenging, and I remember somebody describing it as kind of putting on boxing gloves and like continuously in the ring, continuously in this boxing fight.
Yeah.
And yeah, to be honest, there are times when it comes to, negotiating, for example. Um, I feel like I do put on my masculine hat a little bit, where, um, you know, I I don't know.
So
It's just one example.
how do you act when you put on your masculinity to go on sales full mode? Are you that serious kind of girl that steps in and says, I just have to act, like just be serious and all that?
Yeah, that's a really good question because I think people that um, know me day to day are quite shocked when they see the masculine businesswoman come out, because she doesn't really come out that often. Um, when it's to go into the boxing ring and kind of like do this kind of stuff, that's when my masculinity comes out. And when they see that side of me, they're quite shocked, like, "Wow, Farrah, who is this? You're like a completely different person." But um, I think it comes with running a company. You have to have both the feminine aspect and the masculine aspect kind of
Yeah.
in check and balance, so that one doesn't override the other, and then chaos happens, I guess.
So your suggestion would be whether you're a man or a woman to basically understand what's your current situation in terms of how you're finding that integration between yin and yang and progress to find a unique balance. Do you think a balance is always like this, or for some people is like this and other people is like this?
It's very rare for somebody to be completely in balance with their yin
Yeah.
and their yang energy. uh, each day, um, we're like this or that or that. But one way, can I show you one way where you can sort of test if you're in balance? Okay, so we have main energetic channel, like we have the nadis. These are energetic channels in the body.
Okay.
And to check your energy levels to see that they are in balance, you can breathe through the left side and then breathe only through the right side. Do you notice that one is more blocked than the other?
Yes.
Which one is it?
My left side is more blocked than the right side.
Okay. So maybe, you could try um, doing some yoga nidra meditation on YouTube where you are.
Yes, that's on my list actually. I've been
Ah,
having it is because I've been having back pain for probably the last 3 years,
oh
and
no.
there are some days where I sleep really well, but some days are like they almost never happen. So, but there was one time recently I went to Poland and I stayed in a friend's house, and she used to do yoga. One day I said I'm gonna do that with you. 'Cause, like I have nothing to lose, so I have to try. And the fact was, I went through my day like that. There's obviously it's like I used to have this doctor that referred to this as memories. Like there's the memory of the pain that's there, like this little discomfort, but I was not experiencing the continuous pain on my lower back that I
Mm-hmm.
usually have. So yoga is on my list definitely. But I don't know. I guess that the other day I was thinking about this. Like, why don't I do this more often? I've had a good experience in all of that. Um, so I definitely have to learn more about this. Like how is not how is basically I think I kind of fear of doing something wrong and getting worse than I really am, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like any topic, right? We go to YouTube, we have a lot of people talking about the same things, but some of them have good uh, transformational value, and the others are you know doing things for the wrong reasons. So and I'm not sure what should I do. So maybe you're the expert that I have to visit to, to learn a bit more about this and try to figure out what simple exercises could I do maybe at home or you know
Yeah.
that I can do without compromising or knowing for sure that I'm not putting myself in a worse situation than I am right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the beginning of the yoga journey always starts with the breath. So taking 5 minutes of your day, um, just setting your device on the timer and just sitting there, just focusing on each inhalation and each exhalation. If you notice a thought come in, just acknowledge it. Imagine it having wings and flying away from your body, and then come back to focusing on each inhalation and each exhalation. And the body will just gradually want to do some more, like some stretches or sun salutations are a wonderful way to start the journey of yoga. I have an online course for beginners where we meet once a week on Facebook, and we talk about good posture, good poses, or good sequences to do for all sorts of things. Um,
I'll be looking
yeah.
at that for sure, because yeah,
Thank you.
I did not. I remember going at the age of 23. I had my hair fell in the back, and I went to the doctor, and he told me, "Are you experiencing stress?" And I'm like, "I'm 23. There's no possible thing to happen as stress in my life." But at the same time, I came back and I started to realize, wait a minute, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe stress is getting under my skin. So that was a moment where I quit my job and I started to go
Yeah.
in a different path.
Stress runs rampant in today's society. It's That's a big job for yoga teachers, is to manage stress in people's lives and to share these tools with them to help relax and to help calm down people. Um, when somebody has a very stressful job where they're constantly in that state of fight or flight,
Yeah.
it's very damaging for the body. The constant release of the cortisol wreaks havoc on your cellular makeup, and um, that's one recommendation that I really push people is find that thing that helps you relax or to help release stress, such as getting a weekly massage or going to yoga class.
Yeah.
Hanging out with funny people or watching a funny movie is very relaxing to release that stress in your own way. It's important. It's our job in today's society to find out what it is for you. Everyone deals with a lot of stress these days,
Yeah.
and it's important for everyone to have their own stress management program that they are following for themselves.
Yeah, because we were obviously not taught on how to deal with the amount of distractions and attention pulling sources, right? We have so
Yeah.
many things going on that
Oh, yeah. I have approximately 6 to 7 retreats that I do each year, and I'm shocked reading the health forms of all of our students, because there's at least one person with depression in our group, one person with a panic attacks,
Yeah.
one person with ADHD, and it's not just sometimes; it's every training that we hold, and it just shows that people are really suffering in our society with this
yeah.
constant stress that's under our heads, and you're right, we haven't learned how to handle this stress, and it's imperative that people have their own daily kind of stress management that they're following for themselves, and learn about stress, how to cope with stress in a healthy way. Another one is how to express your emotions. I don't know about you, but lately I've seen a lot of road rage. I was in Toronto and I couldn't believe how many fights I saw of people shouting at each other in their cars in the highway. And that's another thing is, how do we express our emotions in a healthy way is something to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually um well, the first thing should be to express those emotions like on a regular basis. I've been reading a book by Garrett J. White. I don't know if you know him.
Okay, yeah.
He's the guy from the Warrior book, the
Ah,
Warrior
yes,
Week, you know? So
yes.
basically he explains how men have been conditioned to never share their emotions. It was basically a period starting in the Great Wars, the First World War and the Second. It basically shifted, and today we have like the feminism movement and all of that going on. There's a lot of programs to help women to awaken themselves, but there's very few to help men, and that's absolutely true. And I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking how powerful can be to a human being, not only the body but also the spirit, the mind, and the heart, to like the effects of not allowing yourself to share your emotions. Even today, like today, I have a lot of these moments. Like I always put myself in a situation of thinking that if I was alone in the world, I would act this way. So that's how I'm going to do it, as long as I don't create any damage for others, obviously. And I have a lot of situations where people stay looking at me with their attitude of like, are you stupid? Like, what are you doing? Sometimes I'm just dancing or singing, just doing silly stuff because I'm going into that moment. And I remember having this episode of this girl asking me, "Are you gay?" And I was like, "So how did you get to that thought? Like, what dots did
Yeah.
you connect to get to that point? Because you were singing and dancing, and oh, by the way, and your hair is blue. And what? Does somebody who dances is gay? No. Like she was answering no to the question, so she was actually realizing she didn't even know why she was thinking that. But I realized that emotional, how do you say, enchainment, uh,
Yeah.
really damages like not only the
Oh, yeah.
body but the soul.
Oh, absolutely. Cancer, even.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, there's a lot of studies that show that harboring anger and repressing emotion can cause things like ulcers and even worse, cancer.
yeah,
So, yeah, like I love what you're talking about dancing and singing and stuff. And this is one of the things that we do on our retreats, because people hold so many masks, and it's kind of like armor to protect themselves, that before we begin our training, our retreats, we have basically like an ecstatic dance where we listen to drumming music and this kind of very, melodic African beats, where we're encouraged to move in a way that our body is telling us to, and to breathe deeply and to be aware of how we are feeling in our bodies.
yeah,
And it's common for people to feel very silly and embarrassed and humiliated.
yeah,
And so to look at that and go, why am I feeling ashamed for moving? And just kind of look at that and go, oh, isn't that interesting? Kind of like with a curiosity, and then just let it go, and then just be thankful that you have your body and you're listening to this beautiful music and you're with these incredible people, and this is a healthy way of releasing stored up emotions too.
yeah. Thank you for sharing that, by the way, because
You're welcome.
I remember I still have many moments where I feel kind of stupid dancing and all of that. Like especially when I'm in an experience. If I would go to your training, I would be one of the guys like standing there and like, so now I'm supposed to move, and I would be like intensely rationalizing everything and
Yeah.
blocking. I remember having these moments, but eventually, by seeing so many of them not caring, like I used to say,
Okay.
not giving a fuck about what's happening with me, uh, I eventually end up by joining them on a very small level, but that's a good experience, and also that probably happens because I don't know, but it seems to me that the family kind of environment in a lot of people's lives is not favorable to allow us to be who we are and to do silly stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, and that's a big part of conditionment, right?
That's so true. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so true. And it's it's a shame and it's so sad that it goes further. Like it prevents us, the conditioning prevents us from connecting to other people as
yeah,
well. Um, to share our truth. So in our trainings, we also do exercises where they're like intimacy circle uh, exercises to share your greatest fear with a stranger on the first day is very liberating.
yeah,
You hear it out loud and you're saying it to somebody. And we also have breath work that we do in pairs and some mantras that we say to each other. And the result is this kind of liberation where all these layers can just you can let go of all of these layers, these masks that you're holding on to so tightly because of the conditioning. And in this space of our retreats, we let go of that in a safe way, in a step-by-step way. And a lot of transformation and a lot of self-inquiry happens. And we do a lot of journaling, and it's beautiful what um, can come out of those exercises. Things that we've told ourselves in our head since we were a little kid. And then all of a sudden, you're in this safe space with like minded people and you're releasing your fear. No more. I can go on,
yeah,
following my dream or, living my best life and being happy.
yeah. That's
Sometimes it
actually
happens really quick.
that's
Sometimes it often happens really quickly to release those fears.
it seems to be right. It doesn't seem to be a very long process. It seems that when we access that gate that has been closed,
Yeah,
it shifts. Like it's like Tony
amazing.
says, like it can happen in a moment.
Absolutely. And I often share this. I say I believe in instant miracles. I believe that change can happen in a second. And when you operate from that space of all is possible or anything is possible, miracles will happen.
I mean, it's so good to have you here and to be sharing this with you and listening to your like your approach with your energy that's so different than mine, and it's so good to know that, like, and showing people that it's absolutely fine to be yourself. See, you can be this way, that way, the other way. You can be whatever you want, so you better choose who you really are,
So
right?
true. It's a choice. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's a choice.
So we're on time here. Last question is about business. If you had to say to a young kid who wants to pursue his passion and follow his dreams, what are the three things he has to know or care or think about to build his own business?
Fantastic question. Um, Well, I'll think of this as looking back on my child self. I
Huh?
would tell myself to start saving, 10% or 5% of my paycheck until like until when I don't know, like years and years down the road, for saving for a rainy day. I guess you could explain it like that. And work every day on improving your gifts and your talents and your passions. So my passion was yoga, so I would tell my child self to begin yoga even earlier. But then at the same time, it's like, I didn't really get into my illnesses. For example, I had arthritis and depression and asthma as well, and that's what brought me to yoga in the first place. So I would tell my child self to look at challenges, such as health challenges, as a blessing and a gift in disguise, and to love that challenge as you would a child, and see if you can cultivate some softness and to accept the challenge in front of you. Maybe even infuse a bit of humor into your challenge. And also, I would probably tell them to start small today. So, what business that you want to get into? Okay, say it was for yoga retreats. I would tell my child self to organize maybe a 3-hour retreat in my town with my friends and my family, because you always start with your friends and family and your neighbors who's around you, right? So I would say start now. Those are the three things I would tell my child self.
That's it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Farrah, for your time. I know we're on time. And I want to thank you so much for being on that side, for accepting this invitation, and for being here sharing your insights and your energy with the world.
Thank you so much, Renato. I really appreciate that you offered me this opportunity, and yeah, it was wonderful. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
That's it, guys. This is the episode with Farrah Furtado. So, if you're into knowing how to find your own inner balance, how to understand yourself, and how to accept yourself, this is the person to go. This is the person to learn more about. So she holds her retreats, the yoga retreats, and all of those things. And I bet she does a lot of other things that you should and need to get down to it. But if you have any question regarding this talk that we had today, leave it in the comments below. Or if you want to go, I'll leave the links for Farrah's social media on the description, so you can actually go there and ask her directly what is it that's on your mind. All right, guys. So that's it for today. See you next time.